I never made it from paycheck to paycheck. I never made it unless I got a tax refund, you know what I mean? Or unless somebody generous over the years gave me something. But I'm talking about just paychecks. I never made it to the end of the paycheck.
There are balabatim that don't make more than $200,000 a year, and they don't get chasdei leiv.
To say that every Rebbe in America should get $100,000, just I don't know what to do with that.
Welcome to the Learning Curve podcast, brought to you by Mishpacha magazine.
We're raising children in a changing and challenging world.
So let's tackle the important issues facing families today.
I'm Rabbi Garfield, Menal of Yeshiva Torah Zemes in Houston, and I love talking about Chinuch.
I'm Rabbi Ari Schonfeld, Menal of Yeshiva Katana of Manhattan, Rosh Meister of Beis Sipra Manhattan, Director of Camp Aish. I also love talking Chinuch, and of course, a little bit of fishing.
Join us as we answer your questions and discuss the topics that matter to parents the most.
This episode of the Learning Curve podcast is sponsored by Israel Bookshop Publications, bringing you some of the most meaningful, engaging Jewish books for every member of the family. Here's a small sampling of some new books out for the season. There will be 30 to 40 new Israel Bookshop titles in Mishpacha Hashem by the time Yom Tov rolls around. Let's start for the kids. The newest installment of the beloved Midos Town series of books and audio introduces the unforgettable character Mr. Mesuder and Mr. Tzuflegen, joining Mr. Zariz and Mr. Schlepper, Mr. Sameach, Mr. Kvetch, Mr. Fardiner, and Mr. Mekana. I think you kind of get the point. A fun and powerful way to help children internalize the Midos and character traits that shape a life of Torah. The Adventures of Pickle Boy by the mysterious author Yaakov B., already a massive audio hit with over 8 million streams on 24/6 and tens of thousands of listening hours on Naki Audio. It's a thrilling, action-packed adventure about an ordinary Brooklyn boy who discovers superpower-inducing pickle juice hidden in his basement. Between fighting bullies and bank robbers, it teaches a powerful lesson about us using the special abilities Hashem gives us to help others. Now it's finally available in book form with brand new content never heard before. And don't miss a truly remarkable new adult book, Blow My Mind, the unforgettable account of a young mother who suffers a sudden, devastating stroke and her relentless journey of courage, emunah, humor, and determination to reclaim her life and family. We all go through struggles and nisyanos in life, and to hear a first-hand account from a woman who went through a tremendous nisayon herself is truly inspiring. All of these titles and many more are available now from Israel Bookshop Publications, wherever Jewish books are sold. Get your copies today. Bruchim habayim, and welcome back to another episode of The Learning Curve, episode number 11 in season 3, as we approach the Yom Tov of Pesach. Rabbi Garfield,
Good,
how are
Baruch
you?
Hashem. I love from Purim till Pesach, and then you slide right home. Right.
Slide, dive,
Exactly.
stumble,
Exactly.
however it is. No, it's Baruch Hashem. It's an exciting time. I have housekeeping before we continue. I like being factually correct, and I mistakenly left out an episode or two ago when I was discussing the Chasheva Menahals conference in Houston, and we were giving credit or just describing all the different places that were in Houston. I mistakenly left out South Bend, Indiana. So I wanted to make sure I get that on the record that South Bend also joined.
South Bend's been around for a while, right? I'm sure that community's been around many years. So
It's been around for quite a while. Baruch Hashem. We have South Bend Yichus and my yeshiva, the Gettinger family, one of the Miyastim, I think, of South Bend. I have the grandchild of my yeshiva in Manhattan.
Okay,
so,
wonderful.
Baruch Hashem. So speaking of previous episodes, Rabbi, I have to share with you, to me, an amazing story. We discussed the Super Bowl, right after the Super Bowl aired. The Super Bowl shaila about whether you should incentivize an 8th grader not to join the Super Bowl. And I want to share a follow-up to that because I think it's just important, and I would say a very meaningful story. So a Rebbi shared with me, he heard the episode, and he said to me, I want to tell you my Super Bowl story. Ooh la la. It's going to be a little different than I think the audience is ready for. He said he was learning in first year Beis Medrash. This Rebbe is from Baltimore. So just set the scene. He's from Baltimore. He's a big Baltimore Ravens fan. And in the early 2010s, 2012, I think, in that area, the Baltimore Ravens.
I don't even know. Or Flacco? I don't know
Maybe
the
an
names.
answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Maybe something like that. The Ravens made the Super Bowl, which again for him was a very big deal. First year base medrash. He was in a yeshiva, and he said he was planning on watching the Super Bowl. Now it's not an Eretz Yisrael where it's 1:00 in the morning. It's night seder. He didn't care. He was watching the Super Bowl. His Rebbi told me the name. His Rebbi was a Yidra ben Yamin Kaplan, who's the brother of Rabbi Tzvi Kaplan in Eretz Yisrael, Chashav Yeshiva. He has a brother of Avraham Kaplan, a very Chashav Rebbi in Queens and Orachaim. His Rebbe calls him over, and he says to him, this Rebbe told me the story. The Rebbe calls him over as a bacher, and he says, if you have any thought to not watch the Super Bowl Sunday night, I'm going to throw you out of yeshiva.
Talk about speechless.
And he says,
yeah.
he's like, excuse me? He's, I'm going to say it again. If you have any tzad, any thought not to watch the Super Bowl, I will throw you out of yeshiva. If you're upset that you're missing night seder, learn extra over Shabbos. Learn Sunday during lunch break. And you're watching that game. And he said to the Rebbe, he said, first of all, I did not have it said not to watch the game at that point in my life. And he said to me, I watched the game. And I think he said he hasn't watched the game since, or he hasn't watched the game in a bunch of years. He's currently a Rebbe, right? So obviously he's changed a lot since then. He told me that it was one of the most impactful moments of his chinuch years of education in yeshiva. And I said to him, Kasbirli, what was so amazing about this story? And he said, here I was a fledgling, not struggling, but
regular guy,
a typical first year base medrash guy that hadn't hit that second gear yet. And as opposed to trying to convince me to do something that I wasn't ready for, and he could have probably scared me or incentivized me maybe not to watch Super Bowl, which I wasn't ready for yet, and I would have not watched the game and felt guilty and angry the next morning. He said, I never in my life felt a Rebbe get me as much as Ray Kaplan got me in that moment. He met me where I was head on. It was such a deep connection. Wow, this Rebbe gets me. And I watched the Super Bowl. I watched it, but I felt the Rebbe got me, and it allowed me to be open to him and to his Torah. Sometimes we have to stop trying to fix everybody all at once, was my takeaway. Just an amazing story for Mekanachim too. I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to get first mismanaged guys to, I'm not to miss night seder to watch Super Bowl, but it's, just keep that in mind in general. It's like we try so hard to fix everybody. Laws up.
I hear you.
Stop fixing.
I would say, not in contradiction to what you're saying, but there were I remember in Houston, we have a night seder for the 8th grade boys. And I'm going to say something, and I'm going to please try to control yourself when I say what I'm about to say. Get ready. But the Astros have been in the World Series a number of times since I've been a Manal here in Houston. And one of the times that they were in, both times actually, it's not, hold it in, it's over multiple night seders. It's not just a one game thing. And
it's baseball. Right. It's baseball. It's every night.
I've always been impressed. Like that, right? I also always felt, we never said anything to the boys. In fact, the whole night seder is optional anyway. It's not a chiyuv to come to the night seder. But I always am so nispal. I think it's a real chizik for them, the ones that come, that they make a real statement to each other, to the community. We celebrated. I remember we made a whole thing out of it. It might even been in Mishpacha magazine, a picture of them, Tak, I remember now, like of the Bachram learning during the Super Bowl, could be during the one.
Can I tell you the beautifulness of it and why that's different than our Rebbe email, not to bash that Rebbe, who I spoke to afterwards, and we ended up in a bash. That wasn't a night seder that you said, hey, the Astros are making the World Series. Let's make a night seder so they shouldn't watch the World Series. That was boys who were learning. A little bit of a Yetzirah jumped on their lap, called the Astros, and they say, no, we're going to keep learning. Right. Gorgeous. You see the difference?
100%. I'm just saying, like the same way that this story you told, the Bacher watching it helped facilitate his ruchnius. So there are times, and that's the Chachma of Chinuch, when not watching it also is mechazik one's ruchnius, where you feel, wow, I'm making a statement.
And we're obviously discussing sports now, but sports is just a mashal to any moment of where we want our children to grow up, to outgrow something. It could be a video game, it could be a movie, or it could just be it could be anything. Skiing. I think too often as parents and as mechanchim, we want to play hero ball, and we want to fix everything right now. And by and large, I have a good friend that has a slogan that says
construction.
Say
a house
Garfield
is not a construction site.
No, children are good. What's your
construction site spiel?
No, construction site's a good one. No, children are good And if they're not being good, there's a reason for it, and it's our job as
No,
adults to
yeah,
find that reason
yeah.
to help them. But most of the time, they'll figure it out. All right. Speaking of
All
figuring it out,
right.
let's
Am I
go.
asking you? I forgot to do this first
Um,
here.
First question I
Oh,
am
I'm
asking
glad.
you. The second question you're asking me, and then we get to a unique guest tonight. Well, Scott, very unique. So unique, we don't even know who he is. Something that we've never done before, and for obvious reasons, which we'll explain soon. So here we go. Question number 1. Dear TLC, maybe this is the shortest question we've ever gotten, but let's see. When my teenager is looking to convince my wife about something she's already said no to, he often comes to me to ask me to intervene. How should I handle this? And the answer cannot be, well, I'll just ask her about Garfield, like my daughter, as we said, sometimes does.
Very smart daughter you have.
By the way, just but thinking the
Yeah,
Garfield versus Schonfeld thing, on
yeah.
Purim, I had a bunch of Bachrim from a lot of yeshivas come to me on Purim, a lot. And they're like trying to curry favor. We like you much better than Garfield.
That's great. I love it. I love it. Well, they know how to curry favor. I'll tell
So,
them that.
anyways,
You have smart talmidim over there in
yeah,
Passaic. All right,
yeah. Anyways,
listen, obvious. This is in a way a softball. I'll try to give it a little meat, but there's no way a father should be undermining the wife in any way. Of course, if he agrees, so it's pushit. That's not the shaila. If he agrees with the wife's psak, so then for shtetzach, he just says, "Listen, your mother already said it. End of story," and you agree. What if you don't agree? Or obviously, you're not going to say to the kid, "You're attacker right." You could say, "Let's go to mommy together," or "Let me discuss with her privately," or "Let's discuss." I don't know, or even b'chlal.
so you will say that? You won't just emphatically said, mommy said no, and I'm sticking up for mom. Like, you'll allow him to reopen
It
the
depends.
case
I would say it depends on the
or her?
situation. It's hard to say. But if let's say you as a parent agree, so you want to say you should shut it down and then talk to the wife privately, and then she could be the one. I don't have a problem with that. I guess it depends on the dynamic in the house. If it's the kind of thing where, for
Right.
whatever reason that is considered a piggy and covet, and I'm not judging. I'm just saying I think in my house it would be a little looser in that way, where it's okay to say I'm going to have a conversation with mommy. That wouldn't be an undermining kind of thing, or coach the kid in how to like say, what are you trying to say? Maybe they didn't understand it, depending on the situation.
How does it not undermine, like the Gemara discusses, once you ask a psak, right, you can't go to another bezdin. Your son or daughter goes to your wife and asks her, I don't know, could I stay out late tonight? Or could I get this, whatever it is, I want to buy this. And she says no. And then she goes to you. How do you
No,
have a
in that
conversation with your son or
situation,
daughter without
no, in that situation,
undermining
I
your
would say,
wife?
Mom, you already said you. That's it. 11. It's over. Why would I get? It's over. There's nothing to talk about. But what if it's something substantive that you taka disagree with? I guess as we're talking, I would say I agree. I guess it's always good to save face in the moment. There's no value in giving any validity to that, unless it's a crazy situation, which you have other problems if that's the case. As we're talking about it, I appreciate the listeners giving me a chance to develop my thoughts to say you really gain nothing by saying to the kid anything but mommy said no and it's a no. But Lamaisa, there's no reason you can't have a different opinion. You can have a discussion behind closed doors and explore it. Is there any
I
wisdom in
also
that?
think
That
it's
seems so push
okay.
it. I don't know. Is there any wisdom?
No, I also think it's okay for kids to hear. Maybe the male in me thinks that it's more important one way or the other. If it's the father, as you went to the mother, she says no, and then you go to the father. I think it's okay for the son or daughter to hear from me that I am supporting mommy in her decision. In other words, it doesn't. I might even lay away whatever he wants or she wants to go away, whatever it is. I don't want to give them a shalom bayis shmooze about what it means to have a good marriage, but mommy made a decision, and to me, that's enough. I don't have to even hear that side. I don't mean to shut them down. I don't mind listening to you, but to me, almost tell them as a husband and as someone, when mommy makes a decision and mommy says something to you, then to me, that's enough. That's like me speaking.
I don't know if this
Uh,
is an interesting
You know,
question. I don't know. I don't want to say I disagree because I feel like I'll be lambasted by the more conservative family structure people. But I'm not sure that's what I would want my wife to do about me. Meaning, if I said to my kids, I want you home at 11, and they feel they have a valid reason and I'm not listening to
right.
them, and they went to my wife, I wouldn't have a problem. I'm just talking for me. And maybe I'm totally crazy and we've established that. So no need to write letters that I'm a lunatic.
I've said nothing.
But
I'm
like,
not. I
if they
will
went to
neither
my wife
confirm nor
and my wife
deny.
said, Taka, let me understand what you're saying. And they explained why the things not over till 11:15.
And they told you why
Daddy, and he said 11,
went
he
to
won't
Abba.
listen, but I'm trying to
Went to
explain to him
Daddy.
that the whole party's not over at 11:15. By the time I get home, it's going to be 11:26. I can't be home by 11, but he's not listening. I don't know what to do. Now, if mommy then says,
Oh, no, you just added a caveat, which
there's
is
a reason.
the child is coming
But
to
you
your
wouldn't
mother.
even
Well, it's
listen.
good. We're
Barb, you
talking this
wouldn't even
through.
listen. You said, mommy said, I don't have to hear 11:26. That's what you said. To show proper coverage
So no,
to your
so the
wife.
caveat is, what happens if this is like it's like a split in Besdin, right? What happens if the child says, "Daddy said no," but he didn't understand,
Of course they say that.
right? That's what you're saying.
Of
So
course
then
that's
the
what
shot
they say.
is
What's the other angle?
right,
That's,
but
they
he
always
didn't
say that. He didn't listen to me. Yeah, but you
understand.
whatever mommy said is like
I'm
I
not saying
said
it.
it. And that's it. I don't want to hear it. It's a non-starter. So I don't know if I expect that from my wife.
Right.
Maybe she would want that for me. I don't know. I mean,
So that's why, to me, there's really like everything is. I wish we
Right.
had more details in this case. If it's, could I go to my friend's house? Mommy says no, but I really want to.
Yeah,
Right. That's
exactly.
one question. But your question is, can I stay out till 11? And Daddy says no, but he doesn't realize that then I can't go to the game, and he won't let me. He won't let me
Right.
explain it. I think that's
Well, if you're a real traditionalist,
right. I think that's different.
you'd say, I have to stand up for the covet of the other person. I don't care. Unless someone's life is in danger, even if they're wrong, I don't care. You have to stand up for the honor of the parent.
Yeah, so I'm not here to. We're not here to unpack our own marriages and our relationships with our wives. That's not what
Saying,
this
I thought that's
podcast
what
is
you were
about.
saying.
I
I thought
refuse
that's
to
what you were
just right.
saying, that you have to stand up for the
But
honor.
it would not bother me, or I don't think it would bother my wife one way or the other, if that was the conversation. If it was, I try to explain it to mommy or Abba, he didn't understand, and he was too busy, or he didn't want to. I think
Kids
that there's
always
room.
have
I'll
that
let
angle.
something
They're not
maybe
coming to stam. Usually they're coming with
right.
some
That's why I guess
mach, you know,
Shikol comes in. So again, I'll leave you the final word, Rabbi Garfield. Does it depend?
It depends on a lot of things, like everything. But I'm responding to what you said, not to hold you to what you said, because we've evolved in our conversation.
No, so
Like,
I'm pulling back a little. I'm
okay.
pulling back a little. Yeah. I'm pulling back a little that I do think it depends. I think you have to use your shikol das. There are certain times where it's an objective thing. The pair of shoes, you want it. Your mother doesn't think it's good, it's proper, and right. I think there are certain things that, as a father and as a husband, I would definitely just automatically stand up for my wife, and I think it's wonderful for the kids to see that. The nuanced cases where you think your mother is misunderstanding, she doesn't understand yeshiva guys, your father doesn't understand what girls are, and he doesn't understand. Could you asking the mother for help in contextualizing something to the father? I'm giving aces to teenagers, basically. Here's the advice, guys. If you want to be able to ask the question in a way that maybe your
Right.
mother or father will be able to relitigate, don't come in and say, I
Right.
want it, and he said no. Explain where their chesaron is,
Right.
what they're missing. I think that allows the parent to reopen the case and relitigate
what?
without
I
creating a
imagine that there'll
contentious.
be listeners in two different camps. One group is going to say, what they're saying is so push-it. I don't know why it's on a podcast. And the other people are going to say, what they're saying is so push-it wrong. I don't know why they're on a podcast. You can't listen to the other person. Of course not. You support the parent. So,
Right.
you know, to
Right.
group A and group B, I
And I'm saying it
apologize to
depends.
both of you. I'm so sorry.
Wonderful. Okay. Wow. What a way to start
I'm
our.
so sorry we wasted your time. Okay, now I would like to
Yeah.
ask you, a question. Dear TLC, does a Rebbe Manal have a right to look through my boys' drawers? Wow. I had this with my son's yeshiva when the Manal used to walk around the dorms during Seder and check the boys' drawers and cubbies. I thought this was a huge breach of privacy. A talmid's desk, cubby, drawers is private space, besides that it shows that you don't trust the talmid. The same would apply to a parent looking through their child's drawers. I never checked my son's drawers, etc. It ends, but I guess I'll go back to the first sentence. Does a Rebbe or Manal have a right to look through a boy's drawers?
Or parent. So I have parents who will wonder if it's okay for them to check on their kids' emails. A lot of parents have those settings on their computers. It's similar, right? It's the same type of question. So I think he has a real point, this person, and that is for a Menahel or Rebbe to randomly go through the drawers and to look for something for a child. And let's go back. Let's try to be as innocuous as possible. Radios back in the 90s, right? When we try to hide radios in yeshiva, and there would be a dorm bust, right? So I have to say that doesn't bother me. In other words, there's a certain expectation and almost an unwritten rule that if you're in a dorm you're subject to search. And the mishkiach, I'm not going through with mishkiachim whether they usually are right, usually are wrong, but there is a concept of a mashkiach having the authority and the right to look for contraband that's illegal in yeshiva. And it's not just a distrust of you, it's almost part of the back and forth. Hide it better next time. So I think be'etzem, or conceptually, I don't think it has to create distrust in that scenario. However, if you walk in to your dorm room and randomly your Rebbi is there going through your stuff, right? First of all, besides the creepiness of it, and because someone told me that you're hiding cigarettes, right, or an iPad in your room, that's not okay. That's not okay. And I think it matters. I think the storyline matters.
What's the
now,
issue there? That
what
he got
happens?
Caught, not that you were checking. Is that right?
That's
That's not okay. What's not okay? That
because
he was checking or that he got caught? Well, you just said you're allowed to check.
I think checking. No, so I'm saying there are certain things that are built in to the system that we
you
check.
only check
And
for
that is yeshivas
radios, but you
check.
can't check for cigarettes?
No, my point is that the mashkiach will go through 2 or 3 times zman and check through everyone's stuff to make sure there's nothing illegal in yeshiva. That is built into the system. So a part of it is a little bit, we don't trust everybody. We're afraid that Bachram are going to bring things inappropriate or illegal into yeshiva. That's built into the system. It's not an attack on me. But if a Rebbi randomly on a Tuesday, someone tells him, by the way, correct, Schonfeld has something in his dorm and he goes into my room and checks my drawers, I think that's inappropriate. Now, what should the Rebbi do? That's a big sugya. A kid tells the Rebbi that Schonfeld has a radio in his dorm, whatever. And the Rebbi feels right? And he by the way, speaking just on an addendum, 1999 Knicks Pacers, game 5, I think, 4th quarter. After night Seder, fourth quarter.
For the 3.
It was it was the year they won. The Knicks won. The Knicks won. No, they won that year. And Larry Johnson, a 4-point play, fine. So anyways, I was listening to the game with Akiva Reich. If you're out there listening, Akiva Reich, I had the one headphone in one ear and he had on the other, listening to the 4th quarter. And our mashkiach, not Rabbi Roberts, the other mashkiach, bust us bust us. So I had a little bit of azus, and I Baruch Hashem, all that azus is gone since then. He took it away from me. And I said, maskim, I shouldn't have had it in yeshiva. Before you rip me and steer it to be a bentar, can I ask you one question? When you were in 11th grade, you never listened to the Yankees or the Knicks in yeshiva? I was trying to tell him I shouldn't have had it. It's against the rules.
So relax.
It's the playoffs, and I broke it on radio and I listened to.
Oh,
he gave it back to me 2 weeks later. Yeah, he didn't, and I didn't get in trouble from the Yeshiva. But my point is that, so if there's something really bad that Rebbi wants, I think a Rebbi then just calls over the Bacher and says, now Bacher is not going to admit to it. I heard you have an iPhone in Yeshiva. And now the Rebbi has to really, see, there's the thing, sometimes the Rebbeim will just go randomly. I've heard it from a few sources, but do you? And the answer is, of course, no, right? Now, this is, of course, what type of guy is there trust issues with the kid before in the past? I'm going to have to search your stuff. I have to, and it has to be like a warrant. I'm not saying it's going to end well, but if you explain, I understand you don't want me to, but I've had too many boys. And I was like, it can't just be because you heard a rumor. I have a couple of boys telling me that you're up at night in the dorm on your phone, and it's really being mazik yeshiva. That's why this is,
I have a really hard time with
this is hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to search your stuff. It's like a warrant.
I know, but
it's a warrant.
How does that end?
In other words, if you have a warrant,
think big picture, long term. How do you put that relationship back together again?
I have to get that iPad, that iPhone out of yeshiva.
What kind of job are you doing?
And if you have
a talmid who's doing that, what does it tell you about? Let's say you couldn't. What would you do? Let's say you couldn't get the iPad. Let's say you couldn't get to the iPad. What would you do? Let's say you couldn't, for whatever reason. Would you find you couldn't go take it? You couldn't go into his room. He lived at home. You couldn't go. So you'd have to be mechazik him. You'd have to encourage him in other ways. You'd have to inspire him. You'd have to find ways to do it, right? Because
right, but again, that's why I have other boys here that are struggling. Again, I'm explaining, to me, this is a real extreme case. I have other boys that are complaining. So, in other words, overall, as a parent with emails, yes, if you have a 16-year-old son and you're snooping in on his emails without him knowing, that's a problem. That's a big problem. However, I know plenty of parents that when they give their email to the son, they let him know that I'm giving you something that's a little bit of a high level of a freedom or a choice, and I want the right to be able to check in on it and build in that ability to be able to check in on him. I don't know what happens. I don't have that in my home. My children, I think they have emails, but we're not really our kids are not email kids. At least I think. Do I go through my kids' drawers? No, not that I'm not, definitely not on a podcast. But I don't think, by the way, I don't think my kids at home, I guess if I was looking, I was chayshing my son for having something and then I found it in his drawer. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine. Baruch Hashem, my kids are so beautiful and so amazing. It's hard for me to imagine. So in your mind, Rabbi Garfield, so you think there's no such concept ever?
Only like sakana gedola, and you'd have to be, meaning basically what you're doing is,
How about my mashkiach? How about that like standard? We sweep the
I don't
dorm
love
3
it.
times a
Listen,
year.
I'm not a mashkiach for a dorm, so I'm not going to judge that much. I was a ninth grade Rebbi.
You got to get rid of the beer.
I
You got
was
to
a
clean out
ninth
the
grade
fridge,
Rebbi. I
right? Beer
did have a
chametz.
very traumatic experience as a manal. I was the assistant manal in high school, and there was a lot of drinking going on, and we knew it. And Friday night, I remember this is really traumatic for me. The manal couldn't come on the Shabbaton. It was just me. I was the senior. And what happened was this kid got Friday night by the oneg, a few 12th graders. I was a ninth grade Rebbe, but I was the type of ninth grade Rebbe that kept very much in touch with the kids, especially the ones prone for drinking throughout high school. So
Yeah.
one talmid that I had invested 4 years in, like real 4 years, came drunk and like to the oneg. And I'm
Ouch.
like, I can't have this. And it was in another community. I said to the kid, I'm going
Ouch.
to the dorm and I'm going to have to go through your stuff and take out the beer. I'm going to have to. Horrible. And he was so upset at me. He was drunk, so he was exceptionally expressive in his concern.
Right.
And, but I remember, this is an interesting Shiloh. I went to the house where he was staying and I found, I don't know, 24 bottles of beer. What am I supposed to do? So I poured it down the sink. Then I have 24 bottles of beer. I can't put it in the house. Can't put it in the host garbage
can.
So I'm trying to
Oh
figure
my
then it was
gosh.
worse. Then
Oh
I had
my
an
gosh.
Einfeld, and I'm not sure. I hope I did the right thing. I always suspected that this guy had a fake ID because how is he getting this much alcohol? He's 17. And I was like, I saw his
Okay.
wallet there on Friday night
On Shabbos.
and I checked it. I checked it and I
So?
found a fake ID and I took it.
Okay. You're the king. You're the king.
Yeah, there's
Check
always
her
time I did
on her
that.
without
I
permission.
felt it
Yeah,
was
and
a
then continue
sakana.
finish the
People were
story.
getting drunk, a young kid. Now this is the thing. I never told him that.
What'd you do?
I never said a word.
You
I
took the ID?
just the ID, and the alcohol.
Wow.
But I never said to him, I took your ID. What's he going to come to me? Where's my fake ID? Like, he's not going to. And I never turned him in. I didn't go to the manal and say, I got the fake ID. I just, like, that part I never exposed till today. It was like 20 years ago. So I think it's safe. But I remember,
Right.
like, the internal, I knew I destroyed my relationship with him. It was it. That was it. Yes.
Did you?
Unrepaired
Did it?
to this day. If you're listening,
Because why? Because you spilled
I
out the beer?
violated,
Or maybe because he was so embarrassed
I
to
don't know, I
walk in
think I
drunk?
violated what he considered the standards of our relationship, and I did. And I only did it because I was the manal of that achrayas, and the drinking, it was just a problem, you know? It was a serious sakana. I thought I had to do it. But it did violate it. And in retrospect, I don't know if it was the right thing. I hope Achimei Vestrum will be okay. I don't know. But Lamaisa, all I'm saying is it's a last ditch. And I can't imagine a culture where that's normal. Like, how could that be a healthy culture where that's a normative practice? I have a hard time. Now, you went to yeshivas I didn't go to. Maybe it's okay. I don't know. But I'm just saying.
That's what I said. I think there are two types. There's the standard mashkiach like search, which I think doesn't create distrust because it's part
I
of
don't
the
know.
course. It happens, it happens, and I'm not saying, I don't know if it still happens in a lot of yeshivas today, but I think that, especially before Purim and before Pasha Zachar, they're going to go through the fridges and
No, the
right.
fridge is
This happens in
public.
camp also, right?
Is a public thing. Yeah?
So I don't know what do they go through. Yeah, but I will say this. But big picture, standard for a Rebbe to go through a fifth grader's draw, to go through a kid's draw, just because you suspect something, without telling the kid beforehand, without going through it. Yes, I think that creates nothing than distrust. As you said, if you have a kid that you really have real edus and real chash, not just that he has something in the dorm or in his desk in yeshiva. Guy says, Rebbe, he has a pocket knife. He's a fifth grader. Rebbe, Yankee has a pocket knife in his drawer. Yankee, empty your drawer, please. You think that's? I don't think that's horrible.
Well, let me go
I
back
don't
to
think
my
that-
case for a second
right?
as I'm thinking about it now. Like, what would have happened if I wouldn't have done anything? Okay, they would have got.
Yeah, I think you taking the ID, by the way, was not
Well,
necessary.
I wanted to
How
stop
about that?
other kids. They were drinking. It wasn't just Friday night. It was an ongoing issue in the yeshiva. In the dorm, they were always getting drunk. Where are they
Right.
getting the alcohol from? That was
Right.
my husband.
Right.
I didn't care about the ID. But yeah,
You want to go
just
back
wanna
to
say
that
in
what?
retrospect, so now I severed my relationship with this kid, and he was a complicated kid, and I was one of the only rebbeim. He was really Mekushah.
You have a tzibur to
I
worry
know, but
about,
what would have happened to the tzibur? Really, what would have happened already? So they would have gotten drunk a little more.
right?
And what did I
Okay,
do? I severed a real relationship. I'm just saying, maybe it's not worth it. Oh, my reaction
right?
here
Yeah, we
is
never know
that
for sure.
going through people's things is such a violation, generally speaking, a violation of the basic relationship. It's very hard for me to imagine.
But let me ask you, through
Yeah.
your fifth grade Rebbe, and Rebbe Yankee has a pocket knife in his
Mhm.
drawer in his desk, and he was waving at us. Yankee, you have what? I do not. I do not. Yes, he does. Two boys. Yes, he does. You don't think the Rebbe could say to him, Yankee, please uncover your desk. I'm not talking about public.
Yeah,
There's
I
three
was gonna
boys in
say,
the room. There's no
we
one in the
gotta
room.
find a way to do it that maintains the dignity of that relationship. You want me? I
So
could come up
explain.
with some
How?
creative ways on the spot if you'd like. If I could have the boys leave, okay. First of all, I could say, Yankee, what would you do if you were in my
Right.
position? You have two
Very good.
talmidim came and say that what would you think is my achrayas to these? What do you want me to do? What do you think is right? How can we resolve this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe try to find a way because if you do it, well,
I would trust him. I would
but would
trust that
you?
kid. Again, you have
But
to know what
would
age he
you?
is. Yeah, but that's a good point.
Should we ask a third person? Is there someone in the world whose opinion you respect? Your fourth grade rabbi, your third grade rabbi, Aaron Schonfeld. I heard he's a real chacham. Let's call him and ask him what he thinks we should do. Because I don't want to embarrass you.
Meaning you want at the end of the day not to open that drawer with
I'm
him
buying into it.
understanding that you
Yeah.
almost have the
And then
right
it doesn't
to.
violate the relationship. Listen, Yankee, I would love not to do it. I don't want to do it, but I feel responsible. Should I call my boss? Should I call my mother? Should we call Chaim Kanievsky? You tell me. What do you want to do? But I can't just leave it. I have two kids saying there's a knife here. So what are we gonna the point is to say that's just a creative side thing. But we gotta find a way to maintain that dignity because in the end of the day, it's that relationship and that dignity that you build Torah on. And if you violate it, there's not a lot there
Beautiful.
left. Yeah.
Beautiful. And we've had two
Yeah.
questions so far in this podcast that have been very, it
Yeah,
took us a
yeah.
while to unpack
All right.
and get there.
Okay.
All right. So now we move to our
Yes.
spotlight question. And I want to read the question first and then discuss what we're going to do. So here's the question. Dear TLC, I would like to address one thing Rabbi Schonfeld said in a recent episode. You said you would never recommend this line of work, being a Rebbe, to someone due to the financial pressures involved. Now, it was a snippet and quote. What I said was, I wouldn't feel that I have the achrayas to tell someone to go into Chinuch, I'm not paying your bills and the financial pressure is tremendous. But okay, fine. I assume you'll get flack for saying that. I did. Certain people came over to me and thought it was horrible that I said that. I want to tell you that I share this feeling with you. I am a Rebbe myself. I love my job. I feel like I was born to do this. I wonder why I waited so long to start. I am in my second year of teaching, yet I could never in good conscience recommend this to anyone. When I was offered the job and found out how much I would be paid, I was shaken to the core. For a few days, I walked around almost in a daze, turning numbers over in my mind, writing out budgets on paper. My wife and I decided to go for it, mainly because we had another
Nice.
source of money. I assume you'll get negative feedback. Ask anyone who disagrees with you how old they are and how long ago they went into Chinuch. With interest rates much higher now than they were just a few years ago and the general rise in cost of living, it is dramatically more difficult to make it work today than it used to be. I believe that it is almost impossible for anyone to do this unless they have a significant other source of money. For a long time, it has been thought of by many as a privilege to teach and help raise the next generation of Erlich Yidden. I believe it is no longer simply a privilege. It has become a luxury, not a feasible option for the masses. I hope there are enough wealthy people out there who decide to spend their money on this luxury, as opposed to all the extravagances that are being pursued all around us. Thank you and keep up the great work. So this is from a Rebbe who is describing the shock and the days that he got in when he first started. And Rabbi Garfield, we're both Menalim, which means our pay scale is different than Rebbeim, but we both started out as Rebbeim. I don't know if we should share how much we made as a Rebbe, but it definitely, I will tell you that a friend of mine recently that I told that I've done a lot of research. Most Rebbeim, the general area, if they've been a Rebbe for 3-4 years, I'm being about as general as possible, make 60,000, 65,000, 50,000. High end, they'll make 70,000 after a long time, maybe 80, like quote. The friends that I say this to do not believe me. They would even 60,000. That's what a secretary, right? So what we want to do tonight, is speak to someone who's in the field. Speak to someone who's been a Rebbe, and let's hear what he has to say. Garfield, as we mentioned, tonight's episode is a little unique in that we are inviting a guest that we agreed would stay anonymous. He's a Rebbe in the United States of America. And because what we really want to do is find out what it means to be a Rebbe, what it means to be a Rebbe financially, what it means for your family, what it means for your day-to-day life, what is it about being a Rebbe. So, Rebbe, Bruchim Habayim.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Face and in the voice of...
First of all, representing all of Klal Yisrael.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So
Big
obviously,
Achrai.
Well, I feel the weight, Rebbe, yeah.
It's a brave thing that you're doing. You're discussing your life with us. Thank you. So let's really start. We're not going to ask you, obviously, too many personal things because we don't want you to go into witness protection. Why did you go into Chinuch? When did you go into Chinuch? Talk to us your career.
Did you know? Was it planned out or it just happened?
Okay. I have to talk general because, again, I don't think it's fair for my family, for the Maisa that I worked for, if this sensitive conversation gets traced back. We'll talk general. I went into Chinuch because I had no other job, and I figured it was a get-rich-quick type of
Wow, you're
career.
a real genius.
And, I'm sorry, no, that's the wrong script. Sorry. Take two. It's not live, is it? Okay. Seriously, though.
Good Rebbe,
I went into
Garfield,
Chinuch.
no?
Yeah, I love it.
I went into Chinuch because from a young age, I would say already from when I was in Mesivta, for shore-based matters, I felt that this was my calling. My father was in Chinuch. That was not what really must have had some type of influence in my life, but I don't think that's really what influenced. I just always found fulfillment in learning with people, being mashpi on people. Even when I was a bacher, I was very involved with Pirchei, where I grew up, and it was something that I always felt that this was me. I would say, like when I need friends now, many years later, nobody's surprised that I'm a Rebbe. It's like, oh, he's a Rebbe. Like, whoa, we never would have thought that. So I knew that I had it in me. I had the passion for it, and it was something that I guess it was a pretty easy decision for me to go into Chinuch.
Did you going into Chinuch what it would mean financially for you?
No. Let me explain that. Today,
how many years?
Baruch Hashem, I'm married. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say 20 plus.
Fair.
Is that fair?
Good.
Fair. 20 plus in the classroom, day in, day out. Baruch Hashem, Alavai, Admei Ava Esther, if they don't throw me out of my head by the time I turn 65. But I'll say like this: a couple today gets married, and everybody wants to spend the first few years in Koil, and everybody talks the talk. We know that when you're in Koil, it's going to be hard, and you're going to have to live. You're going to have to live crunched, and you're not going to be able to just swipe your parents' credit card. But we're ready to do it. Do the newly Chutz and Kala, the new couple, do they really know what they're getting into? No. Well, they know it's going to take some sacrifice. Do they know what amount of sacrifice it's going to take? Do they know that maybe in a year or two down the line, you're going to have to think 3 times before you buy a coffee? Or you're going to have to think before you want to go out to eat with your wife? They don't know those realities. So it's a general commitment. I know I'm going to have to struggle. I know it's not going to be easy. I know I'm going to have to come on to other people, but that's how we'll figure it out. You hear that? Baruch Hashem, I've married kids. We'll figure it out. I went to Chinuch with that same mindset. I was never somebody that really knew how to crunch numbers, but it was no secret that the Rebbeim, at least then, when I was a bacher and when I was in the Man, Rebbeim were on the bottom of the pay scale. So I knew that going into Chinuch would be
Did you
tight.
have family money to help you?
Zero. Now again, I'm never wanting to be an ingrate, right? So the answer is that my parents and my in-laws, back in early days, they try to help. I'll give you a mashal. When I was learning in Koil, so between what my parents and my in-laws gave me, and they were each scraping, just covered rent. Just
So
covered
you did
rent.
one of those.
Which means
Here's money for a mortgage. Here's money for a down payment on a house.
nothing. And again, when I say nothing, I'll say maybe sach haklel between my parents and my in-laws being boister nefesh to scrape together, $10,000. Is that called money?
Not a lot of money. Not a lot of money. Your starting salary. Let's go today, right? 20 years.
Wait, Harry, just hold on. The first job, you applied to it, or someone came to you? You're in Koil.
I was learning in a kollel in the United States of America, and I was ready. Not just financially that I felt that I needed to start earning more money, but I was ready to roll up the sleeves and really do what I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
The job did not come to me.
For it.
No,
You applied. Yeah.
I looked for it. A relative was the shadchan. He was living in the city where I started teaching, and I'm
You've been in the
presently
same
teaching.
place all these
and-
years.
Yes.
Wow, very impressive.
I guess what
Yes.
I'm pointing out is
Yeah.
like some people like myself, I didn't plan on it. Someone came to me and like said, why don't you teach? There's a job opportunity. And I said, okay, but I didn't plan that. It just happened to me. But in your case, there was another
Right.
element of decision. And then the other thing was the difference in your salary between your last year in Kollel and your first year of teaching, I imagine was a lot more. So like at first it was a windfall. Initially, there would have been you would have made more, I assume, but I don't want to, was that
No, I was making in Koil. It's going back a few years,
20
but I'm not,
plus?
you know,
20 plus
not,
years?
not
20 plus.
20 plus. I was making 24,000
Okay,
That's
annually.
pretty good.
I got started off my teaching job at $36,000.
okay? But that's 12. That's a 33% raise or whatever the numbers are.
But I was out of Koil.
Actually, a 50%.
So I had to
raise.
find once I moved, just my housing.
By the
just
way, don't get me
destroyed
wrong, I don't
whatever-
think $35,000 is a lot of money. I'm just saying compared to 26.
I
I forgot the
You
number.
got free housing.
Doug, You don't look like you're my father.
You were getting free housing in the Koil, so right away that's a big expense.
No, I was not getting free housing. But again, we're talking numbers under the face of anonymous. When I was in Koil, I was paying about $900 rent. When I moved, Baruch Hashem, I bought right away, but my mortgage with all in taxes and homeowners was close to $2,000.
So
And
now
there
let's,
is $24,000 a year.
correct.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
Let's fast
There you
forward
go.
to today because today is where we are. Let's ask. So I guess you decide what you're comfortable answering. How much do you're a Rebbi in a mainstream yeshiva? How much money do you make as a Rebbi?
Until I hit a very serious crisis, which maybe we'll talk about, maybe we won't. You want to know as just the Rebbe job, not my other,
Yeah,
not my few
the
other
Rebbe.
jobs. 73.
And that's
Now
still.
you have a family, right? And you said you have at least one marriage.
That's on 20 plus
I'm sorry,
years
Rabari. That's till what time? Till 2, till 1, till 3?
till 2 o'clock. Till
The
2 o'clock.
and this is
2 o'clock.
Sunday. There's no off days. There's, as we were saying in the beginning,
No
and
off days.
And going to the bathroom is a whole avodah. Who's gonna watch my class? The
That's a
mental.
different issue, Ari.
No, it's not. It's not.
Right.
People, I've had friends. It's a part-time job. It's a part-time
Right,
job.
right.
No,
You get another job
But-
after 2, working as
you
a
can get
English.
another.
So-
You can't get a real job. You could get a job, an English teacher. By the way, you're in the classroom from 7:40 in the morning.
Or you are so wiped at 2 o'clock. You are
you're good.
wiped.
if you're good,
If
you're good, Rebbe.
Yeah. In a perfect world, you would have the next 2 hours to take a nap, no, I mean that
Right.
seriously, to lay down just to close your eyes for your eyes are spinning by the time you're done.
How
Especially
many
if
boys in
if
your
it was
class?
it was
How
a
many boys in
tougher
your
day.
class?
Every year anywhere between 18 and
Right,
25.
real full class. But so I
Full
imagine
class,
so
full
you don't have the
class.
luxury of laying down from 2 to 4 every day, right?
No, because at 2 o'clock I go straight to my afternoon job.
And
Which is?
like generally
So-
speaking, is that in the Chinuch? Okay, and how much
Yeah.
does that make?
Yeah, and I would say about 45.
And then when
full
do you
afternoon.
finish that?
It's the grueling. It's lemudei choil. 5:10. So I'm working
7
from we start around 7:30
Wow.
when we have to be in school, and I'm going straight to 5:10. But I'm not done. I
And
still
we're at 100.
that's not enough.
sorry,
Do
we're
the
at
math,
$100,000.
crunch the numbers.
That's $110,000.
Okay, continue. Then what happens?
There's 8,000 hours. That's
Then what
nothing.
happens?
And then so we get home until we get home. It's close to 5:30. 7:15. I'm in the car to go to my night stater job.
And how much does that bring in?
22,000 a month. 2,000 a month.
It's probably like 8,
And
9 months.
Since I work in the summer, so I don't do night state in
so
the summer.
you
It's
work-
20.
It's
20
like a
year.
construction job. You're working till 5:30 and then 7:30.
I'm working.
And tutoring doesn't
I
make
can't even
sense
make.
to
There's
tutor?
no legal room. I
Why?
can't tutor. When can I tutor? Oh, you mean I get home at 5:30 for the first time, say hello to my wife and kids, and maybe eat some supper. Oh, so I should be held for 45 minutes tutor before
Right.
night
And when's
Seder?
night Seder over? When's night
Huh?
Seder over?
So I leave my house in the area of 7:15. It is a little bit of a drive there. Night Seder ends at 9:15. I'm never home before
Oh, wow.
10 o'clock. And then I got a Ma'ariv, and then I would love, hey, let's remember, I'm Jewish. I would love to learn some Torah. Right.
And how about preparing? I didn't want to for any of that. Meaning
Preparing.
for Chol, for Kodesh.
20 plus year vat to
The Chol
prepare,
part.
right?
I don't know how you teach 3 hours of Chol blind.
No. You need time to prepare, and that's, again, the weekends when you have so much free time. Okay, listen, I have to say, Kodesh, the preparing is minimal. When it comes, it just gets busy around report card season. When it comes to midterms, even the weekly Sunday tests, lo nora, not the end of the world. But
would you say
yeah,
what you're doing is
it's-
typical? Like 3 jobs?
Yes. Unless someone is being helped. Now, I have kaverim where I teach that are part of that they live in Lakewood. Some of them are learning in a Mechanchim Skoil in
What
Lakewood
does
during
that
the
pay?
afternoon. I have no idea. But how much could it pay?
20,000. I mean,
How much could it make? I'm just
So
saying.
then they're making
You
70
think they pay?
plus 25 plus 20 at night. It's the
it's
same.
$120,000.
Right. And you're making
$100 for a job
150.
that is working 13, 14 hours a day, basically.
Wow.
So
Wow.
how do you?
So I hold
And
maybe,
you've been doing it for years? You've been doing this for years?
and then when I need to be interviewed, they can't get around to interviewing me till 11:30.
But the interview is so much fun, Rabbi. It's so much fun.
I
It
know.
makes it all worse.
Does your wife have now?
Right.
Does it make sense for someone to say? So then tell your wife to become an accountant, and tell your wife to become a dermatologist. I don't know.
That's great. Tell your wife to become a Bitcoin trader.
or a social worker? The answer is I want to take a step back. I feel very strongly that I want my wife and my girls working in a Talmudic environment. In
No
other
problem
words,
with that.
yeah, I know what the
We
problems
said
are,
no
right?
problem with
But
that. No,
you
but
know,
if that's the goal. That would be wonderful.
I once heard on a recording a shuz, I guess, from Rameir Stern Psek, and he was talking to Mechanchim. I guess he was talking to Rebbeim there, and he was saying that he holds that one of the main sources of all the troubles that we have with our kids today is that the mothers are not home. The mothers are working. Now, he understood the problem, but you were just saying, this is what I think a reality is. The mothers are not there for their children. My wife has to work. So at least, do I want my daughters to be accountants? No, I don't. I want them to at least work where they're on the same schedule as their kids and they're in the same environment
then
as
the most
their
your wife
children.
make is $50,000.
That's 50K, right.
The most my
You're
wife
making
can make is
$170,000.
$50,000.
Right.
My wife is working. No, okay. So my kids are. I'm teaching 20 plus, so my kids are a little bit older, but it wasn't always like this. So my wife was working a morning job and a little bit in the afternoon.
Wow.
Now that's just recent because already my kids
So
are a little bit older.
I think
But
what's
before
important to note is that you're doing your plate is fuller than full. Your wife's plate is full of. You're doing everything.
I'm doing everything I could. I'm not making it. No, I have never made it.
What does make it mean? What does it mean?
I have never. You'll listen to. I'll finish the sentence. I never made it from paycheck to paycheck. I never made it unless I got a tax refund, you know what I mean? Or unless somebody generous over the years gave me something. But I'm talking about just paychecks. I never made it to the end of the paycheck. I get paid twice a month like we all do. I never made it to the end. How do I live? Home equity could sometimes pay my groceries at the end of the pay cycle, and it'll go, I know too much for home equity.
One
That
thing,
normal?
I hate to.
That normal?
Just one more point. We didn't talk about the summers. So summers is a place of
Okay,
employment.
summers. Right, all right, because here's Rebbeim only teach
Well, you
10 months a
mentioned it,
year,
and there is
right?
the
All but right.
capacity. I think many Rebbeim work in the summer. So what? I don't know the numbers though. Rabari, this is one of your special.
I work for 2 months in the summer. This year, we're ending yeshiva on either a Monday or a Tuesday. I'm starting camp that Thursday. Okay? And I'm working 2 months straight. I will get a 2-week break at the end. Wow, 2 weeks. I'm working And again, this is not just me. I don't think
What is
I'm a
person
hero.
making a camp? I don't know anything about camps. It's not.
It
my
depends.
thing.
I do know a little bit about
It's
think
a
it's one
hard.
thing that we've
Yeah, I think
established in this-
Schonfeld, he didn't ask you that. He didn't ask you that question. He was asking
Right.
me.
I think one thing I've established very well in this podcast is I don't know camp, so I don't know the finances of a camp. Let's say someone who's been a Rebbe for 20 years, you're probably just not a regular Rebbe. Let's assume you're in between senior staff and the lower staff. I don't know.
I'm senior
before
staff.
we know this, do you know what percentage of
I'll let-
get jobs in camps? 3%.
It's hard
How
to
many-
get them, you mean?
How many camp
I
Rebbe
don't know.
jobs?
They go work. They do day camp.
Every-
They do night.
Every year I have 5 rebellion friends, and he camps looking
yeah.
for people.
Okay, but
It is
how much
hard.
does the guy make?
But
in
Baruch
that?
Hashem.
Plus, you get your kids in camp or whatever. But
I'm past
okay,
that.
so what's the range?
So
20?
no type I know. I
I have no clue.
20.
I don't know anything.
So I'll give you a clue. I'm senior staff. Okay, I'm the division head, and I teach in the morning. And my wife also works in camp. I'm making in the ballpark before taxes
Wow.
15.
But food, room and board. and all
The
that
takeaway is
jazz,
not 15, right?
Room and
What's
board,
that?
whatever. Like you don't have expenses.
Room.
You
I
pay
want to
rent,
tell you,
but-
I've been in sleepaway camps for many years now. Room and board at the end of the day doesn't make
No,
you
I know.
rich because there's always supplementing. As good as the
They only pay
food is,
15?
there's
Is this an anti?
that's good.
And that's good.
That's good.
Oh
That's
my gosh,
good.
I would never
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is this it's you're I don't we don't have to do a calculator.
It's
You're
about
ma-
200. It's 180.
And then
to
don't forget-
200 is what
Right.
it is.
And so if with scraping everything together on paper, let's say it's over 200, but don't forget there's taxes, right? So when you have a Rebbi that's working a couple of jobs and his wife is working, he's middle class. He's paying taxes. He's not eligible for any health insurance program.
Yeshiva off your health
Um,
insurance?
They do, but it's too
Right.
expensive.
Do they give you
We
life
have the
insurance?
same
expensive.
problem by us.
Insurance, yes. Life
We
insurance,
have the
think
yes.
same problem in
parents-
Houston. We offer it, but it's so expensive. It's like $2,500, $3,000
Because
a
you
month.
go, right. Exactly,
Do
the
you
deal.
think
Yeah.
parents
Yeah.
appreciate? And again, you said I'm looking for hero ball. Do you think parents appreciate that? Wow, whoa, that's an overwhelming. I know there are about this also I'll get, which is true. There are balabatim that don't make more than $200,000 a year. So they're lying. So it's and they don't get chasdei lev, which many
Right.
Rebbeim get, and they don't get I don't know what else.
Help for
Simcha fund.
chasanas.
Is there a chasanas? You get help for chasanas?
Yes, or of Hashem. But again, everything we spoke about, finances, is before a simpler.
Right. So you coming? You're not coming to Simcha
Right.
50
So I'm not,
away.
I'm not making it on a naked day to day. So not
Happens by
if and when I
chasna.
make a simcha, schnorr. And I have a boss that is so gracious, and he makes you feel like $1 million when he can't
Not
pay my
quite $1 million.
ochaslo.
Yeah.
Halavai make
Sometimes you
like
feel
$1
like he
million.
became the
That would be really.
You got me? And I know everybody, we're all in the
You
same
think-
boat. I'm talking, and as much as each one of you are making, it caps out. I remember the first chasna I made, so my wife was Shemaifin when I stuck her cases. By now, she's standing behind me in line with her hand out.
You regret going into chinuch?
But want you to know, not for one day.
Do you want this life for your kids?
I think it depends. Not I think. I already have grown kids, and some of them are in chinuch, others are not. I think you have to know your kid. No two kids are the same. Some kids have a natiya, they want better stuff, more balabatisha stuff, and I have a couple of those kids, and I push them to find jobs and go to work. And other of my kids are cut out for chinuch and are cut out to live a simpler life. So
You're describing it's not just being cut out for chinuch; it's being cut out to
Be a
It is.
workhorse.
yeah, to be a
Yeah.
workhorse. It's not the chinuch part. Being the Rebbe, being the classroom is the easy part, but it's the
why
grind.
am
How
I
do
being
you have the
singled out?
mind for
How
your
many Revaim are
talmidim?
there in the United States? If not just me,
You're
so
being
it's not
singled
just
out because you're willing to come on and discuss.
But how do you have?
I don't.
How do you have
that
the Yishuv and
that
Das?
somebody let her. I want it
You have 20 talmidim. Forget
Right.
the guys in the afternoon who also need you.
right.
Don't think they
Right.
don't need you in the afternoon.
So-
and night
so-
Seder.
And nice.
I want to
everyone
say
needs- but,
I want
you
to
know,
say
your
something because
talmidim-
when I was thinking about this interview, so I was thinking it's not just a Rebbe that's on making it, right? You mean open up in the Mishpacha magazine and they're right. Nobody's making it, right? Nobody's making it. Everybody's struggling. Inflation is killing anybody.
Right? It's
So
a problem.
why am I coming on as a Rebbe when half our audience is saying we're also struggling? And I agree. But here's Rabbi Garfield, I'm just going to pick up on what you said. In order to be the most effective Rebbe possible, you need Yeshivadas. Your whole mahus is interacting and being positive and being passionate and just giving and patient. I think it's a Gemara that says that when Rabbi Yochanan and Ilfa, remember that Gemara in Tainus? So Rabbi Yochanan, they had no money, they went out to do business, right? So it ended up that Rabbi Yochanan became Rosh Hashiva.
Right.
And once he became Rosh Hashiva, I think Rashi says, so you had no more money issues, because once you were Rosh Hashiva, they took care of all your needs. I correct me if I'm wrong. I think Rosh Hashiva, Rebbi, in those days, they didn't have the same system that we have. The Rosh Hashiva basically did, on some level, what a Rebbe did. To be Rosh Hashiva, to really give to the talmidim, you can have daigers of money, or at least you can have. So I think in the same vein, I had experienced kufas, and I just went through one recently where I had no money. When I thought about no money, usually I said I don't make it from paycheck to paycheck. So usually things run dry 2-3 days before. It was one of those kufas where just everything.
Boiler broke.
There was dental work and more dental work. This bill and that bill.
Wow.
No, it was no vacation bill that added up. It was just plain old rebelling the shalai onto sending me bill after bill. The kippser, I had maxed out on my home equity. I had nothing. Everything that was going through on my debit account was bouncing. I couldn't think straight. I woke up. I came into class like dazed. Like I couldn't focus. I couldn't focus more than long term without going back to like, how am I getting through this? And when I have, we'll get religious. I daven that we don't. But at the end of the day, I'm not a malach. I'm not a malach.
Right, and if you were an accountant who was struggling, and again, you're right, there's a lot of people struggling. You can go through a days of a day and just have a bad day at work. You're not allowed to have a bad day at work.
You cannot.
So how do you do that? It sounds.
You have to dig. You really have to dig deep. And if it's something, if you're in the classroom and if it's something that you want to do because you want to do it, you'll find it. The Rebbeinu Shalom will give you the passion. He'll give you the overdrive. He'll give you the adrenaline to be able to do it. But it takes it all. Takes it all. It really does.
We're gonna start to wrap up. It's obviously a very.
I'm just getting started. Go ahead.
It's a lot. We hear you. We appreciate you. I hear it. I've had certain tekufas in my life also when I was a Rebbe that I can relate to very much what you're saying. Whatever, but you're living it day in, day out. It's unbelievable, really. So I want to say that. But also, so what do you want Klal Yisrael to hear? Like, you really think we can't give $100,000 raises to our Rebbeim, right? It's just not happening. And that's really what you need. You need a $100,000 raise, period. That's what you need to cover. So let's say you wouldn't do the afternoon job. You could still do the night Seder job. That's 50. And then the other 50 you need just to like breathe because you're not breathing now. So 100K would do it. Maybe camps should pay more, but we'll leave that for another discussion.
We'll talk off air to rather Schonfeld there.
Let's get the camps to empathize.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, so you need $100,000. Okay. To say that every Rebbe in America should get $100,000, just I don't know what to do with that.
Correct.
So what do you want us to walk away? What do you want? The floor is yours. What do you want the Olam listening to hear? The parents, the tzibur.
Okay. You're putting a lot of pressure on me because you give me 30 seconds and to ask Nashi B'Shelosi and Hatzi Amalchus. But here it is. I would say that for starters, the Rebbeim that I have contact with in my money said the Rebbeim in camp, everybody's positive. Everybody's struggling. Everybody's positive. It's an amazing thing because I have yet to meet a Rebbe that is im Chinuch because he had nothing else to do. Now, maybe there are those out there. So number one, whatever financial struggles a Rebbe goes through, the Rebbeim that I work with are positive, and I don't believe that they would give it up what they're doing for anything in the world. It is the most fulfilling job, and maybe that's what gets us through the day-to-day and the hard tkufa. But sometimes in my dream of dreams, there's something called a Dr. Kyle. How about a Dr. Rebbe?
Oh my gosh.
How about it? Now, in other words, not.
Oh, my wife is to listen to this podcast, and she's going to say, my wife has been screaming at this for the last 2 years. Why don't we have a Dr. Rebbe?
A Dr. Rebbe. Now, that's not, Rabbi Garfield, I'm not saying that's something that everybody could do, But adopt a Rebbe means that there's one or two balabatim that are looking out for this Rebbe. The school's still paying. The Rebbe's still working. The Rebbe's not. Fuck the Rebbe say,
In that moment that you were suffering, you would have somewhere to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know I don't have a penny of savings? I love my parents, my in-laws, but they never could afford it. I don't have a penny of savings. So adopt a Rebbe. Forget about the simcha, just the day-to-day. He's crunched. He's not going to be able to make it to the finish line. He needs an injection. He needs a few $100. He needs a couple $1,000. But we're looking out for you. Adopt a Rebbe.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Beautiful idea.
Amazing. I think on that point, I think if parents, we're not changing the system. We're not getting $100,000 raise for each Rebbe.
Correct.
You have a Rebbe, and listen, you're being a very brave and honest, and almost very honest about your struggle. But I'm a menal, so I know my Rebbe, my yeshiva, and their Rebbe, my yeshiva, when their transmission goes, and they have to do, and they shake and they shudder and they make a bris, and they can't pay for the bris. So I know the sugya well. I think that if parents, forget Hanukkah gelt, which is beautiful.
It's beautiful,
and,
but
well, it should be more. And you give your, how much money do you give the other people who you tip? But if the parents would just appreciate, forget Hanukkah, it's January. It's Pesach time now. You know how expensive Pesach is? Yeshivas try, and I give money for Pesach.
right. And Chazdei Lev is amazing. It's
Chazan is
amazing.
amazing. But just constantly think, if you are a parent and you can constantly think, what can I do for my son's Rebbe? First of all, Sheikhet works. So on a selfish, just from a selfish level, do it early and do it often. In Pesach, Rameir Stern told us the only Sheikh in the Torah that's mutter is Sheikhet Rebbeim.
Different.
Right? You want a makar, ask the Rashiva. But just be there. And if someone, a Rebbe, a friend of mine said to me recently, and let's see, not everyone has money, but do things for him. If you're a guy that's in goods and services and you're offer, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to offer, be there. And I think if parents as individuals would embrace the Mesiras Nefesh and the fact that they need their Rebbe for their son's therapy, for their sons to be their son's therapist, to be the son's role model, to be the son's friend, to be everything to their son.
A Rebbe is on call 24/7. 24/7. We all know it, right? Your kid gets, anything happens to your kid, the first lifeline is you call the Rebbe.
Right.
There's no having, not to call the cell phone. We're happy to do it. We're happy to do it. This is what we signed up for.
And again, your reiterating is true. Knowing that there's a lot of people are struggling financially. This is not to say Rebbeim are the only ones that are struggling financially.
Right.
But he's your son's Rebbe. And he's your son's Rebbe. That's it.
There's I don't think there's, not besides for a mother and a father, who is more important in your son's life or in your daughter's life than the Rebbe?
Right. So, Anonymous Rebbe, this is a really special thing that we did. I really appreciate you coming on and talking the way you did.
I appreciate you having me and allowing me the platform, which I really feel I'm representing a lot of Rebbeim, and
so keep up your
okay.
Okay,
right. Wow, that was so vulnerable of him to share. That was really special. Can't believe it.
That was raw. It was real. It was jarring in the sense that these are things that kind of we know it's hard to be in. He works 12 hours a day through the summer, and I don't want this podcast of Garfield to be a pity podcast. And this is not about woe it is to be a Rebbe, as you heard from him, how proud he is, and he wouldn't change for anything in the world. One of the things you said to him at the end, which is I think the most important thing, is we don't want this to be an episode of just us bemoaning the state of Rebbes in America today. So you said to him at the end, tell us something you'd like people to hear and take away from. And he spoke about the fact that everyone loves it. Most people love the job that they're in, being Rebbeim. And he mentioned something, adopt a Rebbe, was his idea. I almost fell off my chair when he said it, because my wife has been using that language for 2 years. She has this is her mission, to create a organization called Adopt a Rebbe, in which we help Rebbeim.
Beautiful.
I think we're going to do it. I'm not sure what that means, but if you want to help us, reach out to me. What does it mean? It's not going to change salaries. We wish that everyone could get a $30,000, $40,000 raise. It ain't happening. But I think what tonight did was hear from someone who's doing everything he can. He's just doing everything he can. And there is no better ability for him. As he said, there are plenty of balabatim that struggle financially. And that's hard for them. Very hard for them. And this is not why are we singling out Rebbeim, right? We're singling out Rebbeim or Rabbi Garfield please fill me in. I don't want to be the only one saying this. You have to agree with me with this or tell me another side. We're singling out Rebbeim for two reasons. One is because they're Rebbeim. They're the most important part of our child's life besides our parents. We need Rebbeim to be taken care of and to feel supported, and they're everything to us, right? A good Rebbe changes our son's life, and it's hard for them. And if we can make it any drop better as a parent, whether it's throwing money, whether it's ideas, whether it's tell your Rebbe, you know what? My two sons are going to come to your house and clean your car for Pesach. Saving $40 that now we can use for matzah. It's real. It's meaningful. Be there for them. The second thing, I don't mean to be such a calculated businessman. A balabas who has a job and struggles financially lives with a dream that he can make it one day. And that dream can allow him a lot of times to wake up in the morning that if I network this and if I do that, I can, no matter what job you're in, no matter what profession you're in, there's always the thought I can make it one day financially. Rebbeim don't have that thought. This Rebbe, have you ever heard a Rebbe that and by the way, I'm not even sure how unique he is. Every Rebbe I know, they work all day. And their cap is $180,000. Their cap, maximum, best case scenario. There is no other way for a Rebbe to make money. We as parents and Meistis, yes, Meistis have to pay more. Meistis don't have money. I know your yeshiva, my yeshiva, we all struggle for money. Just don't forget your son's Rebbe. And I don't mean Rebbe, your son's, your daughter's Moras, the people that we entrust the next generation in, and they are struggling, and they're okay to struggle. They're okay to struggle, but let's try to be there for them as much as we can.
I would just
each
add
individual.
that I'm a Rebbe. I was a Rebbe like anyone, 10 years of ninth grade Rebbe. And I could say that the parents who really appreciate it, who recognize the value you bring to their children, it makes a difference. It makes a difference even for your own children because it's subconscious. It's not like you don't give 110% to everybody, but the parents that really appreciate what you're giving and the commitment, saying, Lamaisa, there's something to it. It's a relationship. It's like you're sharing the relationship with the chinuch of your child, and they appreciate it, and you appreciate it, and the child appreciates it. It's like what goes around comes around. Again, it's just the nature of relationships. And so I would say,
my first year Rebbe in YSV, a parent came over to me. I never taught before, and a week into school gave me $400, and he said, "This is for you to spend on the class." And it lasted 2 weeks. It was, but just that. Now yeshiva could give you money, but when you do things like that, you know how often Rebbeim prize stores. Every good Rebbe has a prize store and has an incentive program. Yes, the yeshiva gives you a couple $100 to spend, and Rebbeim is spending out of their own pocket. And they're not asking you to collect for that. But go over to the Rebbe and say, by the way, I know you bring kugel every Friday as an 8th grade from your wife. The next 5 kugels are on me. There's a parent in my yeshiva, every couple of weeks, he gives me and his son's Rebbe herring and kichel for Shabbos. I'm not saying that these are not going to pay the bills. These are not paying bills. And they're not replacing that. But everything you could do, and by the way, when you could pay a bill, when you see your Rebbe's car, it looks like it needs an oil change and more,
give some oil.
Reach out. And
100%. All right. We look forward to hearing this particular podcast. I think was full of things people might have comments on. The questions we started with, I still have comments on it. And certainly this sugya, the finances. So we encourage you to call in. We love hearing the messages, sending the email. The call number is 443-686-9339. Again, 443-686-9339. Or you could send an email to thelearningcurve@mishpacha.com. All the best.
Bye-bye. Take care.